Welcome to Brick System Brothers. Today's video is a look at the 1x2 part family, and that of course starts with our classic 3004 1x2. Then I'm going to move on and look at four different variants that we've seen: the 4216 1x2 with the groove, 2877 1x2 with the grill style groove on there, the 30136 1x2 with kind of the bumps called the log on Bricklink, and finally the 98283 1x2 masonry brick. So aside from just looking at when these were released and what colors are available, I also want to look at kind of the dispersion among the colors and which ones are maybe harder to find and more exclusive. That's something I find really interesting, especially for recent colors or maybe older colors as well, like our sand blue. So yeah, let's just start with sand blue here. On our classic 1x2. Now the mold itself is all the way back to 1959, so one of the original foundational pieces of the Lego system is the 1x2, and that's kind of evident in the part number here, 3004, because as we know, our classic 2x4, kind of where it all got started, was given the number 3001. And so our 3000 series bricks, 3001, 3002, 3003, and 3004, I think those are the 2x4, the 2x2, the 1x1, and the 1x2 respectively. There might be the 2x3 in there. I haven't really checked, but these kind of foundational 3000 series pieces were the original Lego designs and have been in production for far longer than the other four I'm going to look at today. But color-wise, there are some recent additions to the family that are worth mentioning. But our sand blue does date back all the way to 2002. Specifically here, if we want to look at the actual availability, we can use this pop-out on Bricklink XP. And we can look at, we have to find it first, sand blue was in 11 sets. So just looking at how many sets a piece is in is a good way to kind of get a baseline indicator of how available it is. It doesn't tell you everything because there could be multiple occurrences of the piece in that set. But in general, the more sets that a piece is in, the more available it is. And you know, you can start to get a little bit of error with smaller pieces like a 1x2 plate that might have 30 copies in a single set. But for the most part, especially with the common colors, this is just a really good place to start. And on that note, if a piece is only in one set, it's going to be pretty hard to find, no matter how many copies there are. So sand red was only produced for 1 year in one set. We could actually go check out what that was here. Probably a builder pack. Yeah, 1x2 sand red bricks. 100 sand red 1x2s. Man, what would I give to have that today? But unfortunately, only produced for 1 year. And I'm sure whoever bought that was pretty happy to have that now. Because sand red, I think sand red's a cool color. Wish we had more of it, but what's done is done. The other thing is, we can look at different prints on here, but maybe I'll do that in a different video. This is just kind of colors and mold variations. So let's go back to our colors here real quick before I move on. Maybe some of the really common colors like black and blue, over 1,000 sets. So even for a common piece, that's pretty phenomenal. You know, once you have a Lego piece in 1,000 sets, that's kind of a benchmark, I would say. Bright light blue is a pretty new color, 2015, so far in 9 sets. I think we could have seen this in maybe the Harry Potter carriage set a couple years ago. This coral is actually only a year old, but it's already in 11 sets. So that just gives you an idea of how kind of the dispersion of that. Even though it's a pretty new piece, it's already been used quite a bit, even more than this color that's been around for 5 years. So that's why you also can't just go off of the year that it was released, because you have these different amounts produced here. Let's find one more kind of uncommon color, then I'll move on. Light yellow, 2 sets, produced in exclusively 2002. I actually have one of these, and it's pretty hard to tell apart from our current spring yellow, which is a friend's color, depending on how you classify things. But light yellow and spring yellow are slightly different colors. From farther away, you can't really tell the difference, but if you're a completionist, you gotta pick it up. Maris blue is a nice color as well. Looks like that showed up in 9 sets. And then that sand red again is worth mentioning. But yeah, our white and our yellow here, pretty popular. Yellowish green is pretty recent. Looks like we haven't seen any 1x2s in yellowish green this year yet, but it's still early, we could see that. Alright, let's move on to the 1x2 with groove. This was introduced in 1981, presumably alongside the garage door pieces, as that's kind of what it's designed for with that groove in there. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that garage door piece does go along with this pretty well. There's also like a 1x14 that has that horizontal track, and that's kind of designed to interface here. But I'm just going to stick with the 1x2 bricks. Don't want to get too far off track. We have 15 available colors. Let's pop this out and check it out. Black, one of the original colors released in '81, only in 6 sets. But then again, the only one that really breaks 10 here is the light bluish gray and the red. Brown barely. Ooh, white, pretty available, 60 sets here. Yellow only showing up in 1, produced for 1 year. And maybe another thing to look at when you're looking at these is how many are available in stores. So even if it's a harder to find piece, that doesn't necessarily mean people are selling it. So you have to look at these numbers here too. There are over 1,000 stores selling the light bluish gray 1x2 with the groove, but there are only 30 stores selling the yellow one. So another indicator of how available something is, and not necessarily just was when it was produced, but how available it is now on the secondhand market. Yeah, dark green. 1 year, 1 set. Wonder what that was. Let's check it out. Extreme Adventure. That's a Technic set. Happens to be set number 42069. Okay. Moving on, we have the modified 1x2 with the grill, part number 2877. And somewhere in the 90s is when LEGO switched over their numbering system to 5 digits. And I mean, that's just kind of a general rule of thumb. There were different specialty parts before that, but that's maybe one of the last runs of pieces we see with the 4-digit numerical naming system. Yeah, 91 started production, still in production today. 16 available colors. Let's see what we got. Our year released colors were black, blue, dark gray did not come along right away. Light gray, red, white, and yellow was only 3 years behind the introduction of this part. Dark red, only available in 1 set so far last year. That was the Disney train set. This is going to go up to 2 here pretty soon because, as we saw in our Star Wars May the 4th gift with purchase, that did include a few of these dark red 1x2s with the groove. Another dark green exclusive here. Now I'm just curious. What do we got? Ah, yeah, the Santa Fe. There were 11 in the Santa Fe. So if you want to try to part out and build the Santa Fe, this is probably going to be one of the trouble pieces that you're going to have because it looks like this was the only opportunity to pick up this piece in this color was in this set. So if you didn't get this set and you want to try to build it, it's probably going to be more difficult to find this piece. Let's just check the price here and see what we got. Yeah, it starts at $4, so 11 of those, you're already looking at almost $50 just to get a single part in the quantity you need for 1 set. And, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes with limited release colors and special production. But alright, interesting stuff. Let's move on. Now we have our 1996 1x2 log piece. And I do like this piece because it has kind of a couple of different applications for textures. There's the obvious application of using it as a log kind of texture as well, where you could maybe put it vertical to have wainscoting. You could try to do some studs not on top building and have that horizontal log cabin effect going on. And then this has also been used in official sets as kind of like a leather seat style look. And the one that I think of right off the top of my head is in the 2008 Town Plan kind of collector's edition set, where this was used in that little blue car. And then that blue car is actually what I used for my digital designer video. So if you're here from that, this piece might look familiar. But anyways, 96 was when we saw this. Looks like it's got 18 available colors, so let's look through those real quick. Wow, blue actually pretty exclusive here, only in 2 sets. That's interesting. Blue is usually one of the colors that we see a lot of production, but it's been a little while since we saw a blue one. Right underneath that, bright light blue, only 1 set. That's more recent, so possibly you have more of these in production. Just because it's more recent, production volumes may be a little bit higher. Our dark gray, black, dark tan, no, not dark tan, light gray. Some of these colors that really lend themselves well to the texture are the ones that were introduced first, and then maybe some of the colors that you don't really expect to see with this texture coming along a little bit later. I wonder where they use green. 4 sets in the passenger wagon. Looks like there's a couple different variations here. We'll just count that as 1. There were 6 in each of these. Jungle Monster looks like a little Technicar. There were 4, and a Creator Value Pack had 2. So Brick Pack, we kind of expect to see just a range of pieces like this in different colors. So yeah, that's pretty expected. Passenger Wagon Green looks like it only has this piece because that's the main color scheme. Jungle Monster is maybe the one that you wouldn't expect to see. Maybe just a decision higher up to use this color, and they got put back into production. So really interesting to kind of go into the history of parts and colors sometimes and just see what all that does. And I'm using the new Bricklink XP. For the most part, this is a really intuitive method to browse the Lego part database and kind of jump back and forth between parts and sets and stores and stuff. But one thing I have noticed is if you do start shopping in stores, there's not really a good way to shop within that store. So keep that in mind. I did look at this a couple days ago, but I actually didn't get into the store side of Bricklink XP, and I'm kind of wishing I did because it seems like that's maybe the biggest issue at the moment with the new beta site. Everything else has really good functionality, and it's a pretty decent interface. So check out that video if you're interested. But again, I didn't really look at the stores, and I might have to do that because that seems like maybe one of the current flaws with the system. Last piece to look at today is the 1x2 masonry brick, and I know a lot of people are a big fan of this brick, myself included, but it isn't that old. It's only been around for 8 years, in 2012, and we already have these 9 colors. Let's take a look here and see. Brand new color for this year is the dark orange in the Ideas Barracuda Bay set, and I don't remember, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 included in there, so pretty limited availability right now. Looks like some people are already partying it out. Dark bluish gray, one of the original release colors. Dark red not far behind, and that is a popular color because dark red is a really good brick look for just like building brick walls and brick looking effects and stuff like that. So dark red definitely popular. And then the rest of these, any color you can get in this brick is really useful because it's not just necessarily a red brick wall. Brick walls get painted, so these still look really realistic as a wall. And what we really see going on with this piece is the ability to just give a little more texture and realism to brick-built walls. Because you can do the same thing if you just build a wall out of 1x2s and you just kind of stagger all the joints and everything. Because you'll see the gaps, the small gaps in between the individual molds. But then when you go and build a wall with the 1x2 masonry brick, there's this bevel on here, and it's just a lot more texture that lends itself to the mold and to the model. One thing to note on the other side of this particular piece is it just has the horizontal groove, and it doesn't have these 2 vertical ones. So you can get a slightly different effect with the reverse side of this piece. I don't think I mentioned it, but this one as well also has a different reverse, where our main side here is the vertical groove, and then if you flip it around, it has the horizontal groove. So depending on what effect you really want to get, you can try different textures and see how that works. Of course, our 1x2 with the bump is mirrored standard on both sides. Go back here and look really quick at maybe some of the more exclusive colors. Olive green pops out right away, only 2 sets, and we haven't seen it yet this year. Sand green not far behind, only 10 sets, slightly larger range of production. And then this dark orange is actually the most uncommon color, but it is brand new, and so we might be seeing that more frequently in the coming years. Something to keep an eye on. But the thing about these pieces is they are pretty pricey on the secondhand market. So just depending on the color you're after and how many you want as well. You could say like if I want 50 of these, we can find a store that's selling a higher amount for a little bit lower, but it's still 10 cents a piece. So you're looking at store value, like 10 cents a piece is kind of a standard benchmark for buying directly from Lego. So secondhand, you usually expect to see prices a little lower, but in this piece it is not the case. We still have pretty high value on here. So that being said, if you see this at the Lego store, I would say fill up one of those tall $15 cups, because if you don't use them all, you can definitely sell them, make a little bit of profit, and that's what people are doing on Bricklink. So nothing new there. And when these do show up at the Lego store, they do not last long. It's kind of like if you show up and they're still there, like, it's your lucky day. So you definitely want to pick these up when they're available, even if you're not a modular builder and you don't really have a use for the piece. The demand is so high right now just because it has a lot of uses, a lot of applications, and a lot of people are modular builders, and they love incorporating this design into their builds. And I have a decent amount. I've used it in a couple of MOCs. I would say it worked really well. I had this medium nugget color. I had enough of these to use that as kind of foundation line in my Patriot Hill build. So not enough to do the whole building, but enough to kind of add some accent and some detail, and I think that's what this piece lends itself to really well. So yeah, that's about it. A quick look at our 1x2 and 4 different variants that we've seen over the years. There's definitely more bricks to look at here. I could look at Technic, I could look at the bricks with like the clip molded onto them, but I felt like that didn't really fall into the category here. Just also kind of to just keep things a little bit shorter. Tried to pick 4 that were pretty common. Pearl light gray 1x2 with grill. Found this one in a lot and looked it up. That's kind of what got me started with Bricklink, was when I would buy big bulk lots of pieces and find a piece I wasn't familiar with. I looked for a part number, and then you type in that part number in Google, and Bricklink is usually one of the first results just because it's a pretty extensive database. So that's kind of what got me started on here, and I've been using it ever since, just to kind of track which pieces I have that are maybe more exclusive, and that kind of goes into the idea of sets and pieces being collectible. And yeah, Lego collections definitely have that aspect to them. Pearl light gray in 7 sets, 3-year production run. Not super rare, but not super common either. Alright, well, that's about it. Try to wrap this up here, and you know, if you have an idea for a 1x2 Lego piece that Lego hasn't produced that you would like to see, just leave a comment. We can discuss a little bit. I know one that I would like to see is a 1x2 with maybe like a diamond shape on there. That would be that would have this similar bevel where it's just kind of recessed into the face of the brick. I think that would be really cool to get architectural details, maybe like a row of those along the top of a modular building or something like that. But it is a significant investment for Lego to kind of design a new piece from the ground up, because they have to buy their production molds, and they have to do their prototype testing and all of that. So even though we do see a lot of new pieces coming out these days, it's an investment, and hopefully most of the time it's paying off for them, but sometimes it doesn't. That's kind of what we saw in the early 2000s, where Lego had to reduce their inventory quite a bit as they were struggling financially. But another discussion for another day. I think this topic's pretty much exhausted. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one, and stay tuned for more Lego videos from Brick System Brothers.